All right, you guys ready?
Yeet.
Don't forget to talk into the tip.
Always.
And that's how we should start our podcast.
We're rolling, are we not?
We are rolling.
Always B-roll. Bloopers.
I love that, though. Welcome back to the Bet on Her podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Jordan Larson join us. Jordan is a professional indoor volleyball player and gold medalist, known for her impressive skills on the court and her leadership both on and off the court. In this episode, we'll dive into Jordan's background and how she got into volleyball, as well as her journey to becoming a professional athlete. We'll discuss the challenges she's faced along the way and how she managed to stay motivated and focus on her goals. Welcome, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited.
Here. Our first indoor volleyball player too, which is really cool.
So stoked.
Yeah, and I guess I want to know, because I don't know the story of like, how did you first get into volleyball? Because she mentioned that just a minute ago in the intro. So my family was pretty athletic. My dad played football in college and my mom played just through high school. And so when I was growing up, they threw me in a lot of sports. So first soccer, softball, volleyball, basketball. I quickly learned that soccer was not my thing, too much running. Basketball was it was okay. I really enjoyed softball. And then I really started playing volleyball when I was say like 8, like YMCA stuff, and then started traveling when I was 12. And I really fell in love kind of then, and really started dedicating more time at that age. But I was able to play all like multi-sports through high school, basketball and volleyball. I ran track as well. I was in the band. My mom wanted me to play piano and then also the trumpet, all the things. So I got exposure to everything. I quickly learned that a musical instrument was not my route, but yeah, I just really fell in love with the sport at that age. So that's cool. It sounds like you're multifaceted. Yeah. Now I couldn't play a tune, but yeah, it was cool that I was able to get exposed to that at a young age.
We should have a segment of talent show on this podcast, and then you pop out your trumpet or
something. Yeah, I still can't even. I don't even know if I could do anything with it now. I'm like the recorder. Did you ever play recorder?
Yeah.
Middle school.
Yeah. I feel like it was a requirement.
I didn't play any musical instruments.
No.
I think I tried piano and I couldn't do it. I don't have that artistic talent.
Yeah, I definitely don't either. But I tried. So. Well, you've got athletic talented, obviously. 3 Olympics, gold, silver, and bronze, right? Most recently, the gold. And for the listeners don't know, she was MVP and also best outside hitter. Yeah, crazy. It's so cool to me. I remember watching you when you were in college at Nebraska, and like to see how you've been like this powerhouse for so long. What do you attest to that? Oh goodness, some days I don't know. I'm grateful for like a good mindset. Like I've been surrounded by obviously tons of support with my family and friends, and I've had to go through some adversity outside the court. But I don't know. I just think that I've always seen like the long-term goal, and like, but it's the day-to-day. It's like showing up even when you don't really want to show up, and how can you be. We worked with one really famous sports psych, Ken Nerviza, and he always talked about like some days you only have 70%, but can you give 100 of that 70%? And I really tried to buy into that concept and buy into the process always. And as much as we want the end goal to be what we want it to be, it's not always going to show up that way. But I can put in the work every day and trust that I'm on the right path. And my parents taught me from a young age to be really coachable. So like take in all the feedback you can, be a sponge, try to apply what they're trying to do the best they can. So I just really try to embrace that. And I feel like I've been surrounded by a ton of great coaches that have helped me and put me in a position to be successful. So I would say mindset and just being surrounded by a lot of great people. Who are some of those coaches that have had a really big impact on your career?
Yeah,
so from a young age, club volleyball, Gwen Egbert, she coached me, I think it was 3 or 4 years in club. She coached high school volleyball for many years. I don't even know how many high school championships she's won, but really good. She got on me a lot. Like I think the accountability, like I remember she would make us do like push-ups, and she's like, my grandma can do better than that, something like that. She was always like, pushing us beyond our limits. And I'm really grateful she set a standard, because then when I went into Nebraska and was coached by John, I already kind of knew what I was walking into. And obviously he had a great vision of where he took what I wanted to be. Like I wanted to be an Olympian, and so he really tried to take it each year and really try to build off of that. And I think in college I really learned how important the weight room was. I think
the off season really set me up for success in season, and really understanding that you can put on a lot of muscle and a lot of mass, and by the end of the season in December you're exhausted, but at least you put the time in there. And then when I got to the national team, Hugh McCutcheon, who was just retired from Minnesota, to me, best technical coach I've ever had. I had to relearn everything. Like, I felt like I was a pretty good passer, and he was like, yeah, we're going to change your entire technique. And I'm like, say what? And at 22 or 23, I was like, okay, all right, well, if I want to be on the national team and I want to be Olympian, I better change. So relearned how to attack, how to be a better efficient attacker, better passer, mindset behind how to approach a game, speed of the game, all the things. Really learned a lot from him. And then obviously Karch, great person, player. I admire him so much, not just as a coach, but outside the court as well. And again, just surrounded by wonderful people and great coaches. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thinking back on like the comment you made about the spring training in college, I used to have jeans that were spring jeans and fall jeans. Like I was like a size 30, 31 in the spring, and then I was like a 28, 29 in the fall. But it's so true. Like, but
it really is.
But I think it honestly helped me with like injury prevention too.
For sure. And even now, like as a pro, like you don't really have an off season. So it's like, how can you maintain mass and strength and not let playing a ton of games, hinder that? And so even on days when you have 2 matches a week, like getting in the weight room 3 times a week is really important to kind of keep that and keep you healthy. So, and I really attest that to longevity for my career as well. Is just, even now I've taken kind of shorter contracts as I've gotten older, and that's really set me up for success in season. So I'm really grateful for that.
I think a follow-up question that I have regarding that is, obviously you don't really have an off season, or you didn't for a long period of your career. And you are like kind of like the go-to hitter. I mean, not kind of, you are, and I'm saying like you've taken a lot of swings, you're a big point scorer, and you go from playing overseas to being in the USA gym to traveling and playing in tournaments, playing matches, to going back overseas for 9 months. Like, how do you, like, so obviously you said the weight room and stuff, but is there anything else that you can say that really helped you stay healthy and be able to like be at the top?
Yeah, for sure. I think weight room, I think obviously nutrition and the best you can. I mean, I also want to enjoy life too. So I'm like, chocolate's my best friend, So it's like, if I'm going to have a piece of chocolate, I'm going to have a piece of chocolate. So I think it's just finding this balance and what works best for you. And, but yeah, I for me, it's been the weight room. And I think also acknowledging like what's hurting, like say my back's sore, like am I trying to prevent that injury to continue to happen? So a lot of rehab stuff, getting a ton of massages, just trying to do the best I can with my body and setting it up for success and really investing in it. Like it's expensive. It gets expensive, right? If you're getting massages every couple weeks or every once a week, but in the long run it pays off. And so I think that's part of the thing. So
I'm lucky if I get a massage like once a quarter.
I know. I injured my neck this week, and I've had like 2 in the last 4 days, just because I'm just like, I gotta figure it out. Why is it not getting better? But it's I'm like you usually. If I'm not playing, that's usually what it is too.
I'll just go straight to the chocolates.
Yes, exactly.
Bypass everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Weren't you saying something about LeBron? The fact
LeBron James, or it might have been Russell Wilson, where they spent
the way that you said it, LeBron James.
We love his name. But they would invest like so much money into their
millions,
probably at least $1 million or so into their bodies to perform.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously their seasons are a little bit more rigorous, but I feel like for you, it's year round. So how much, I guess, would you be willing to share how much you invest
for sure
time into your body? Because you are the GOAT, kind of.
Yeah,
millions.
She is.
Yeah,
well, even this year, I've thought about like hiring like even just like a personal like trainer, kind of like physio, like to travel with me, because I'm just like, I think about on the daily like how much attention like I would actually need, and it's not even like that much, but like just have somebody else like have eyes on like what maybe I'm not seeing, or hey, like you're landing on more than one leg, or you're landing on one leg here, like we need to be more balanced. I think just having another set of eyes. And I kind of took a break after like last May, and I really shut it down, and then like really ramped back up. And I had one-on-one training, which normally we're training in a team setting, so like we don't get that much individual attention. which is a good thing, right, from like a team culture standpoint. But I learned that when I'm getting individual training, like my technique is improving. I feel like muscle mass is increasing more because the attention to detail is so much better, because I feel like in a team setting I'm doing it right, but maybe I'm not actually doing it. And if I have that little tweak, it just, I felt like set me up so much more for success. And this season over in Italy, like I was pretty much, I wouldn't say pain free because I have pain, but like, I mean, the first 3 or 4 months of season, I was like, this is amazing. Like I just felt so great. And I attest that to personal training. Also, I had great staff over in Italy. So I don't know, I've really thought about investing even more. Like I probably invest a lot in myself already, but yeah, I think it's really important.
So
yeah.
with your weight training, what do you focus on? Is it like power? Is it speed? Is it load? Is it drive? Like what's your personal trainer or your trainers, what are they doing?
Yeah. Well, I've had some back injuries in the past, so like I'm really sensitive, like squatting of that kind. So how can I produce power, but in an alternative way? So like I would do more physio ball squats, things like that, but just like pushing weight, like as like heavy and then trying to do it fast. So it's like finding this balance to do that for me. And then also as I've gotten older, like you kind of start to slow down a little bit. So adding more agility in there, and like how can I get my feet to keep going fast? So because I got to keep up with these young kids. So, but yeah, it's I think a balance. But I ultimately think that like when I'm powerful, like my core is strong as well, and it's just finding that balance. So
we should have you guys do a walk through one of her workouts.
I feel like they would crush it. Some of their workouts, I'm like,
I'd
do
be
a good
curious
job.
to see that.
Yeah.
Well, it's different. Like, I mean, the lifting that I would do for indoor was somewhat different to what I do for beach now, because beach I still want to be fast but light on my feet because you're moving in the sand, but indoor you want to be a little more powerful and stronger, and
Take so many swings over and over. Like how many swings have you taken in your career?
I don't know.
Do you have a tally on that?
I know. I was just talking to one of the coaches today. I was like, I wonder how many times I jumped this in my entire life. It's scary, honestly. But I just had an x-ray done on my knee like a couple weeks ago, and the doc was like, these look like very healthy knees. And I'm like, great. Amazing. Yeah. I feel very blessed that I've been able to do it as long as I have. So
what about, I want to get into a little bit of your overseas career.
Yep.
Where's your favorite place you've played, and where's your least favorite place you've ever played?
Oh, that's so hard.
She's gonna name drop now.
I know, because I've really been so lucky wherever I've gone. I mean, I would be lying to say that Russia wasn't exactly my favorite, but I would say just from like lifestyle purposes, I mean, it's freezing and snow and all the things, but the club itself, like super professional. I was there for 5 years. I really felt like it was family, and I really enjoyed my time there. And gosh, it's a tie between, I would say, Istanbul, and I was close to Milan this year. It's really amazing. Italy's amazing. I had never been, really. I mean, I'd visited a couple times, but like when you live there and you're ingrained in the culture, the people, it's really cool.
This is your first year playing in Italy?
Well, yeah, I did like a short season last year, so
Okay.
only 2.5 months, like towards the end of playoffs, which was like amazing. And then I was like, I kind of want to go back. So yeah, so this time I spent like 6 months, and it was even better. So
That's awesome.
What team were you on the longest for, or what country?
So I was in Russia for 5 years, and then Istanbul for 5 years, so both equal. And then I was in Shanghai for 3. So I've been lucky that like the teams I've gone, they've wanted me back and kind of get comfortable where I'm at, and also they've been really good. So yeah, I feel very blessed, because it's not. I think my career path hasn't been a normal one necessarily. Most people, I think, are switching every couple of years, or or they want something new, and I was happy, and money was good, and yeah. So
what have you learned from living in other countries, and then what have you appreciated for things in the States that you don't get over there?
Yeah. Oh, this is like one of my favorite questions, because I think that we are really so blessed here. We really are. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, and every time I come back, I'm grateful. And then every time I'm overseas, I'm just so try to immerse myself as much as I can. Language is not my first thing, but I just really try to see them where they're at, and how can I add value to their lives, but also how much they impact mine. And I think it makes me so happy that I have friends all over the world, and but I never take for granted for what we have, and a lot of people want to be here, and just try to remind that to people around here that maybe don't get to see how other people are living, and it just makes me super grateful. So
How would you compare? Well, what are your thoughts on these new leagues popping up right now in the States?
yeah, it's a lot,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a good thing, and I hope that it can sustain. But I'm just really excited every time I go and talk to young girls. I'm like, guys, like there's pro volleyball in the United States. Like you don't understand. Like all of us had to go overseas and do other things, and now there's chances for you to stay home and be close to family. So I'm really excited for that, and also I think girls overseas, like they really want to come.
Yeah.
They really do, and they're looking for opportunities to come play. So it really opens up a lot for them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you have an opinion on which organization you think is doing
Oh,
it right,
boy.
wrong, or like? I know this is a big
I think
question.
I think there's benefits for all of them. You know, I mean, I get Athletes Unlimited. I was a part of them for a while, and the short season, it was great. You know, and I liked the format, and as a competitor, it's really fun. Love Volleyball, I would say, is similar to what overseas is like. You know, there's it's attached to a club where it's kind of cool. If you're coming up in that club, you can kind of see your future maybe lining up after playing or after playing college. And
Pro volleyball.
Pro Volleyball Federation. Like, I think there's 8 teams of that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think if they have good sponsors and everything goes well, like I'm just curious, like how they're all going to compete, because I think there's non-compete in some of the leagues, and there's in the other. I don't know. I hope that they can all sustain in some capacity, but again, it's more opportunities for us to stay home, and I know that I would appreciate that when I was younger, for sure.
Yeah.
But also I'm grateful to see other countries. Like I think without it, I probably would have stayed and not have the perspective that I have now. So I'm grateful I've gone.
I mean, you are called the governor, right? Like,
Yeah, where is that?
I know. Like, what is that? What is that one movie? It's like, hello, governor.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you can't imagine how many times I've heard that.
Your Instagram was pulled up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
gosh.
why?
Instagram title is
How
literally
did you?
I know.
Gov 1007.
Yeah.
Or what do you call it? 1007.
So where did that nickname come from?
So we were in Thailand. It was like my second year on the national team, and one of my really good friends on the team, Faluka, we were just finished a game, and a guy is standing at the end of the court, like waving his hand. He's in a red shirt and like he's waving me down. And Faluka's like, who is that guy? And he's like, I said, he knew my dad. He's a Husker fan or something like that. And she's like, of course, we're in Thailand and someone knows you, whatever. And so she goes home and tells her brother, and her brother is like, well, duh. I mean, she's like the governor of Nebraska. And so then like Faluka's like really good at nicknames, and she's going to keep calling you until you start responding. And so like every day it was like, Govy, the governor, like all of it. And so then literally everybody started calling me that. And then I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to, and then I changed my Instagram as a joke. And then I can't change it back because now it's like contact Instagram. Then I'm like, how do you contact Instagram? Like, I don't know. So now it's
here to stay.
It's just part of it, I guess.
I love it.
So
I think
That's
it's great.
so good.
So cool.
We are called the tripod.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The three of
It's
us.
good.
Can't stand without all three.
All of us got
Yeah.
Like
Be
that.
off balance.
a
Be like this.
lopsided.
Like
As
banana.
you can see, I'm the short leg.
So it still works.
It's good. It's good.
Going back to the overseas
Yep.
and even like playing in America professionally, what advice do you have for players that are looking to get an agent or negotiate a contract? Like, what are some things that you would say that are really important that players should make sure that they
Look out for.
Yeah, because I know that can be kind of it's like being recruited for college and you're like, I don't even know what questions to ask,
Sure.
So I think that there's probably some tips that you can share. That'd
Yeah,
be really
for sure.
helpful.
I mean, it is tough, and it's such an unknown thing, and it's actually something that I'm kind of passionate about. Like, how do we educate these girls coming out of college better and give them more understanding of what to ask for and what to expect? And I think also sometimes, like, college programs, like, we treat our college athletes very, very well, right? And they live a really good life, chartering everywhere, and it's amazing. But then when you go overseas, like, you don't get those kind of things. So it's preparing them mentally, like how to deal with things and how to, now being a professional, you got to go and handle a lot of those things. Like, you got to go talk to your GM if you need something. You got to talk to your agent. Like, so how are we going to bridge that gap a little bit? And the one thing I would say, just ask questions. Like if your coach probably knows other agents, and then maybe that agent knows other people, or reach out to me. Like I would be happy to answer anything and connect people the best I can. But I would say one is, standard house, car. I would say dates of payment. Like sometimes it's like, all right, we're going to give you 6 installments from August to June of next year. Well, there's no like accountability on their end to like pay you on time or do anything like that. And so I would just say as like, I don't know, like detailed oriented as you can get in the contract is really beneficial. And I'm always available. I'm really passionate about that kind of stuff and talking through it. And I think there's a space where we can mentor those athletes on how to bridge that gap and make it easier for them, because there is a lot of unknown. People don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's really important. I think I know a few people when I was graduating college, and then they went and had these terrible experiences overseas. And a lot of it was like this language barrier and, but yeah, certain things that they didn't necessarily ask for. They were just like, oh great, a contract, I get to go play. And then they're like, I never want to go overseas again, where you could actually probably have a better experience had you gone through and like been a little bit more detail oriented or asked the right questions.
Yeah, and I think now with social media too, you can learn a lot like of who's playing and who's coaching, and there's just a lot more connection available, where like when I first started, it was like, all right, you're going to Russia and we don't know where it is in the middle of Siberia, like good luck, and I mean, even my first year, like I had, bonuses in my contract that we weren't even in like a Champions League or something like that. So it's like just understanding of how the leagues run, what is good to ask for, what's reasonable, like what's attainable. Are you actually going to win the league? If you're not, then like don't put bonuses in there of you winning the league. Put bonuses in what the club is striving for. Maybe that's a 3rd place, or that's, CV Cup the next year. Like put in tangible things that are actually beneficial for you. But I think that's just how can you get connected and to better understand that. So I do think there's a market for that, and how to help these athletes navigate that, because you're right. Like we have so much talent, and now maybe with the stuff in the States, people want to stay home more, but we have so much talent in the States that like these people go play 1 or 2 years and they're done because they either didn't have a good experience, they're not getting paid well enough, and it's not worth it. So I don't know. It makes me sad, because I think that we could really be like, I mean, we already have force to reckon with like in the world of volleyball, but I think we can be even better.
Would you start your own agency or become an agent?
I've really thought about it. Especially there's not really a ton of female athletes in the agent like world, at least in volleyball. So I've really thought about it. But I don't know. I'm still playing, and I think I can't do that until I'm done, but I've definitely thought about it.
So you're still playing in the USA gym?
Yes.
Which is amazing. Is Paris on your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to try. And I had something, just a little small thing with my knee. My quad tendon was a little fired up after the season. So just kind of nursing that back to health, but I feel great. And
that's awesome.
Why not try?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about for each of the different quads? So the 3 Olympics that you did, what did each one mean to you, and how did they differ? Obviously, I know they differed in medals, but
for sure.
Yeah.
So I think leading into 2012, I just wanted to be an Olympian. Like that was where my mind was at, and obviously, like having success in the Olympic Games was also important. But the fact that I was able to like make my dream come true was huge. And then I would say just culturally, I didn't have like a great taste in my mouth of like how it ended. Like, yes, most people be like, but you won a silver medal. Yes, is amazing. Like it really was. And I think just how we were working together, it didn't feel right. And I honestly thought I was going to be done after that. When Karch took over, it was kind of like, all right, I want a different look and kind of what USA Volleyball is. And so we really tried to change things culturally and how we wanted to invest in one another and really be kind of the sum of the parts. And our vision that going to Rio was all in. Like we're giving all of ourselves, and here we are, non-judgmental. We're going to accept each other as we are and respect each other, and we're going to find a way. And we walked away with the bronze, that quad. But to me, we believed that we were going to win gold. We really did. And everybody gave their hearts, and we left it all out there. And if we were 2 points better than Serbia, we probably would have, you never would have known what happened. But I think everybody believed. And also what people don't realize is that they don't just hand you the bronze medal. You have to go out after a horrible loss and then turn around the next day and do that. And actually Carrie and April did kind of the similar thing. And so we kind of really took that lesson from them and helped us kind of bring that bronze home. And again, I thought I was going to be done after that. And then I was like, I just kept getting contracts.
Go one more.
Yeah. And
another one.
Another one. Yeah. But I still like had love for the game. And I don't know, we just had a good thing going. And then COVID hit. And I was like, can I do it another year? Like wait another year? But COVID was the best thing to happen for our team. And we really built a culture on Zoom. We added Sue Enquist, who is an absolute baller, and became kind of our culture consultant. And when we got back in the gym, was it May of 21, we had so much clarity around roles and what we wanted to do. And it was just so clear. And so when we got to Tokyo, it was just, I wouldn't say it was easy because it definitely wasn't. But I think that, I don't know if there's ever, maybe there's one other time in history where there was sweep all three, like quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. Like how we went about it was really, really awesome. And I don't know, it's a sweet ending to like a really incredible story. So I'm really grateful to have gone again and to have had that experience to kind of top it off. But yeah, we'll see what this kind of story holds. I know I missed out last year in the gym, but getting caught up to speed and really trying to dive into what we have now.
Yeah, and being a leader too.
Yeah. And I'm trying right now, like obviously being removed for a year, like trying to understand kind of where I fit in, you know, because culture changed obviously being in a year and there's different people in the gym. Now we have a lot of young girls in the gym, which is really cool. And kind of where can I add value and fit in, and then not step on any toes as well. So
to kind of go on to that, I have a 2-part question for you. So your experience and time in the USA gym, you've been there for quite a long time, like, right?
Don't tell them how long.
Yeah. But how, I mean, and through that time, you've probably seen hundreds of athletes cycle in and out of the gym. Mm-hmm. How have you managed to stay in your position for so long? And then the second part is, what have you noticed and observed from the athletes and of the next generation coming up?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I know the first answer, to be honest. Some days I look back and I don't know. I never really jumped the highest or hit the hardest, or I don't know. I feel like I put in the work in the weight room and really tried to kind of, I had to learn that like I'm not going to outpower people. So I have to think about the game in another way, and it's about how much information can I gather before the play even starts. So can I see where they're serving? Can I identify what's happening before it's probably going to happen? How fast can I read the game? And if I know what they're going to take on me, like how can I be a better attacker because of that? And if I don't have the hit that I want, like I'm going to play into the block and we're going to play it again. I'm not the go-to player technically, but how can I add value in other areas? People talk about like out of system setting, like it's not statted ever, but how many chances out of system do you have that like we need to kill a ball? Like I would say 5 to 7 roughly. Maybe that's, I don't even know stats, but I'm just saying there's opportunities that people don't talk about. And I wanted to be good at every skill. So how can I add values in those areas? And I think just my mental approach, I feel like has kept me in it for that long. I don't know if that's healthy or not, but that's what's kept me in. And then the second part was the new generation. Yeah, I think just this kind of freeness of like going out and having fun and just really enjoying the game. I think oftentimes throughout my career, I feel like I lost sight of that at times. It's like I'm so dialed in and so focused that like, guys, like we got to get it done. Like we're not hitting the standard that we need to hit. Like, but now it's like, how can we really dive into relationships and get to know people and what makes you tick and how can I make you better? And that then therefore it like makes me better. So I think, but also like just going out and having fun is really, really important as well. And just letting your mind kind of be. And I feel like even for me now, I wouldn't say like winning the gold like helped that, but it almost validated like, all right, I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing. And like now I can have this sense of like calmness and like, all right, like I know what I'm doing is right and I can just be and still pushing this edge, but like having this like groundedness almost, if that makes sense.
Would you say that's kind of a little bit of your personal philosophy? Because we had Nicole Davis on.
Oh gosh, who's an absolute badass.
Yes.
Can I say that on this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You could say whatever you want.
Okay. I love her so much.
Yeah, she's awesome. And obviously I'm sure you know about talking about personal philosophy.
Yes.
What would you say is yours Maybe not just as an athlete, but like as a human being in general too.
No,
as a woman.
That was one of the hardest exercises we had to do with Mike Gervais, and I still don't know if I know mine, which is probably something that I need to keep working on. But I think that, oh gosh, that's such a hard question. I think just trying to stay as present as I can, but also pushing the envelope in areas that I feel like I can continue to do. And that's, I think, as I've gotten older, like really getting to know my teammates and how I can bring out the best in them gives me this sense of calmness that I don't have to do it alone. And I'm very much we got to do it as a team, otherwise like we're not going to win. So I think it's kind of a we before me kind of idea, and that's really where my heart and mind are always at.
I like that.
Yeah, team player, and it sounds like you problem solve at such a high level, and you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
So that's a good trait to have.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I've been playing around with a ton of great athletes. I think about some of the greatest opposites that I've played with and had the opportunity to play with, and like how can I make them kill the ball, because it's really important. And it's cool.
Being a good teammate goes a long way.
Yeah. I think know your role on your team. I think that's such a huge thing to understand and know, especially when you're working on a group of like 6 indoor plus 18. I don't know what it is now, but understanding what your role is super important.
Exactly.
Because it's not about you, it's about we.
Yeah.
Any rituals or superstitions you have or follow?
A little.
Yeah.
College was worse. It was like before I had to like shower and straighten my hair a certain way, and I had a coffee, all the things. And then I was like, this is making me more mental than I need to. But now I would say like I would say my day is pretty structured. Like I have kind of the same breakfast every time, and then I'll have like a coffee before the match. And then I'm a big gum person. Like I chew gum as I play. So this started back in college. So I would chew a piece of gum for warm up, and then I would give my other gum to our trainer, like physio or whatever, and then I would pop another gum in. I would take the other one out, pop the other one in for game time. So that's one thing that has been like pretty consistent throughout.
Yeah.
So people are like, how are you playing and like chewing gum at the same time? I can't function without it. So
have you ever swallowed a piece of gum while you're playing?
No, I've spit it out. You actually in Rio, like there was one time I got so excited and it like came out. I was like, oh gosh, and like threw it over the carch. I'm like, I'm so sorry, carch, my bad.
Is it the same gum? Is it the same brand?
No,
or mix it up?
different. Yeah, mix it up. It's like 5 gum extra. Used to be Big Red, when I
You
was
should be
playing
sponsored by
college.
these guys.
I know. I should
No.
reach out, guys. Come on.
Getting a gum sponsor would be
I know.
sick. Oh my gosh.
A lot of my I had fans in Thailand. That was like they always knew, so they would just always give me like tons of gum. So it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's a weird thing. I don't know.
That's
why.
cool.
Yeah.
It's so unique.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
My
very
my first beach partner, Angela Benson, she was the same way. She'd always pop in a piece of gum.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen like there's some players like action shots where their like mouth is open when they're swinging. I'm like, no way could she chew a piece of gum.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know. Well, like I don't know if it's like because like now as I've gotten older too, like getting like headaches and what it ties to your jaw and like how it affects the rest of your body. Some physios are like, can we not chew gum? And I'm like, I can't. That's the one thing you can't take away from me.
You want me to win or not?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
I need you to let me do this.
Exactly.
Let me chew my gum, please.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
That's
Amen.
so funny.
From a nutrition standpoint,
Yes.
how have you been able to balance or manage your eating habits over the years in like all these different places?
Yeah, it's a great question. I bring a lot from home, like oatmeal or Vital Proteins or tried peanut butter, things like that. I try to bring, but now as I feel like overseas has gotten a little bit more westernized, you can find a lot more overseas. So I think it's just being conscious about what you're putting in your body. And I think also vitamins, I've really expanded like multivitamin, vitamin C. I take magnesium at night. So how can I best recover myself if I'm not getting it in food as well? And then I feel like trying to decrease inflammation in my body, so maybe a little bit less carb, especially as I've gotten older, my metabolism slowed down, so less carb, higher protein, and just being conscious. Sometimes like I feel like even as athletes we're bored sometimes because we don't have a lot going on, and so it's like, well, am I bored? Am I just eating? But what am I eating and putting in my body? So I think awareness around, am I actually hungry or am I just sitting here because I'm or I'm eating because I'm just bored? So I think finding this balance of like almost intuitive eating, like when I'm hungry, like eat, but then also understanding like when I have to fuel and when I don't have to fuel.
Do you have like a pregame meal that you always have to eat before a match?
No, usually it's more just like a fish and a vegetable is usually what I go to. I'm a big red meat, obviously being in the Midwest, so I'll have like good old steak sometimes. So yeah, but it's nothing too crazy. So, and I eat out a lot.
You do.
Yeah,
That's okay.
no,
Fun fact.
Fun fact. I'm like, oh, and overseas delivery is just so easy. You know,
That's
I know.
nice.
The poke bowls, you know, it's good stuff.
What about Jordan time?
Yeah,
Like me time? Because
I
obviously,
don't know what that is. No, I'm joking.
what does that look like, or what do you like to do to
Yeah.
separate time for yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm a big volleyball nerd, so I can just watch volleyball a lot. So, and I like to talk about it. I like to talk about mindset and yeah, but just I would say kind of relax, watch TV. I'm not a big reader, try to be, but can't do that either. Yeah, I don't know, and just spending time with friends, family when I can.
And then big news was just released last
Yes,
week
yeah.
about Nebraska.
Yes.
And so what is going to be your role there at University of Nebraska?
Yeah, so technically I am the third assistant. So I've been kind of on board now with a couple of recruiting calls, stuff like that. But then I'm kind of in charge of pin hitters and kind of how to help them passing, attacking, all the things. And then I'll meet them after Olympic qualifier this summer. So September 25th is when we're done. And then I'll meet them after that.
So you'll do the fall in Nebraska?
Yes.
And then will you do like a short season overseas
Yes,
again?
that's the plan. I still don't know where yet, but that's the plan. So, and I'm just grateful that John has been open to the idea. I really wanted to get into coaching, and it's cool that I get to do it from afar. And like I have Zooms all this week with all the girls, and yeah, it's been really fun to connect and helps me kind of fill my bucket too of like how to give back to a sport that's really given me so much.
Yeah.
So.
Is that like a goal of yours post being done playing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. I mean, I'm definitely interested in it, but you never know. Life can throw some weird things at you. So you just gotta, I don't know. I'm just really trying to stay where I'm at and see if there's something that I really like. But so far I've really enjoyed it.
That's great. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the best programs.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's your alma mater.
I
So
know. Yeah,
great
it's been
place to
cool.
be.
It's been cool to be back to like seeing on campus. So much has changed since I've been there, and some of the people have still remained from when I was in school. So it's cool to be back.
With everything that you've done in your career, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
So when I was at Nebraska, actually, we did an exercise of like that, you know, and like if you were to stop now, like what would you want people to remember you as? And I always try to keep that in the back of my mind, like even throughout my career, like how can I get up every day and try to think about that and lead by that example almost. And I would hope that people would say that she loved the game, she dedicated her life to the game, and wanted the best for those around her, even though sometimes I've had to learn how to find this balance between having a standard for myself and also what I feel like the team should have, but then giving grace like where it's needed. And so I want also people to realize that like if you have a dream, like you can go for it and like try everything you can. Like I was a 12-year-old little girl who had the dream of being an Olympian, and like still to this day, like did I imagine the magnitude that I would have, like that I would be able to do for this long? Absolutely not. But I really believed in it and talked about it as crazy as I did. But it's possible. It really is. And so if you put your heart and mind into it and find, I don't know, I had great support system too. So if you have all those in place, anything is possible. So
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Imagine if you stuck to trumpet.
You know, I thought about that. I was like, I could be
Do we
like,
have a
Listen,
cool
you play
sound
the
effect for
trumpet.
that?
I used to play the flute.
yeah,
Let's make a band.
this could be a very different conversation right
I mean, come on.
now. Yeah. I know.
Garage band, here we go.
Full circle.
It's a
Fine.
great setup
Honestly,
right now here.
you're from the Midwest. I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Play volleyball. All of us. We get the gang together.
Yeah. Jeez.
Join the tripod.
I know.
That would be fun.
That would be so
Fun
fun.
pod.
Oh,
This has been like such a great podcast.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting in front of greatness.
I know.
Oh,
It's
I
so
know.
good.
Oh.
Come on.
We have you. We've had Misty. We have Carrie. Well, hopefully Carrie will be on soon. We've had April. All of the greats, and we've learned so much from each of you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and continue to learn. And I think that that's everything you're sharing is so valuable.
Yeah.
Stuff from overseas, stuff from here in the States, and just who you are as a person. I think
Yeah,
is
thanks.
valuable. Yeah.
Dedication. It's palpable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought that, I don't know. I just never thought that it would be what it is, you know, like you
Yeah.
have this vision and like you hope one day that like you get to even some, like I remember me and Carrie, like there was AVP was touring and like doing indoor like travel stuff, and remember meeting her for the first time, and like the pedestal, you know, it's just like, this is greatness, like, and like the fact that you're sitting here saying now I'm like in this like the realm of that, like it's, I don't know, it doesn't hit, you know, like you just don't even, I don't know, put yourself in, you don't put yourself there, because it's always like, it's never enough, and like you got to keep striving, and I don't know, and I just know that I couldn't do it by myself. Like I've been so lucky to be surrounded by so many people that have helped, and it's, I don't know, it's still surreal at times, especially like also where I grew up, like small town, like literally nothing. So it's just like to see where I've seen in the world too is, I don't know, I'm really so grateful.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what Taryn Cloth was saying to us in the podcast. Yeah. Coming from a small town. And
she spoke highly of you.
Yeah, so highly.
She said that she met you and she's like, greatest human ever.
No. She's like, no. She's great. I remember she was in the USA gym and kind of debating on what path she was going to take. And you know, it's hard as a young kid coming out of college and understanding what you want and what you, it's tough. So, but it's cool to see her kicking ass, and
It sounds like you took a bet on yourself.
Me? Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes.
I mean, you're on the Bet on Her podcast, and it sounds like you've been taking a bet on yourself since you were young, and continue to do so. I mean, how scary was that experience the first time going overseas?
Yeah, it was scary for sure. Yeah. I was lucky I was married at the time, so he actually went with me, so that fear was a little bit like less impactful, I would say. But yeah, it still was, when I think about our first trip, like I landed in the airport, nobody spoke English, and like the next day, like, all right, we're gonna travel, and like, all right, we're thinking like plane, no, it's an overnight train that is like 8 hours, and I'm like, okay, where are we going? And then like we get off and they're like, we're going to McDonald's because that's what Americans want, and I'm like, okay, you know. And so it's just like, when I think back, I'm like, wow, like where it all started. And now the team really invested like long term, and like it was a great experience, but like where it all started, it's really unreal.
Yeah. I'm sure that there was a lot of anxiety and stuff, and
I
mean, I went to an FIVB event in Ostrava with some of the players and stuff, and I was taking photos, and I remember like one of the reasons why I traveled with Betsy and Julia was because it was my first international trip doing photos and stuff and media, and I remember afterwards, like I had to take the train back by myself, and there's this guy who came over to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and he's like speaking to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, and I'm frantically pulling out Google Translate, trying to figure out what he wants, and it turns out I'm in the wrong seat, and like it's just like there was no security blanket, right? There was not too many people spoke English, and you try to pull it out, but you can communicate, sure, but there's that added pressure and that stress of like, what's next,
for sure,
you know. So I can't even imagine. I mean, you've been traveling all over, and you've been doing this for a majority of your life, and yet you still have the joy and the motivation to do that. So
it's some days I don't know how.
But
it's but I think now I just have so much more grace and like forgiveness for people that are, you know, in a tough situation, you know, something's always worse than what you're currently in, and understanding that like if someone's mad or angry at the time, like trying to understand where they're coming from. And you know, when you think about in a foreign country, like someone's not in their comfort zone, like how do you help them, and how do you know, find a solution for them? So it's given me just so much more like, all right, life is okay, it's gonna be okay,
appreciation,
exactly.
I love that.
So
good. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I mean, we could be here for hours.
Yeah, we're like, first of all, we can't even believe we have you on this podcast.
Oh gosh,
so it's really great that you're here.
This is great. And I'm so like, thanks for elevating women in sport, and it's cool you guys are doing this. So.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Let me see. Is there any shout outs or anything like that you wanna give? Any I don't know, anything you're a part of?
Yeah, gosh, I feel like sometimes I'm doing so much, but then not so much at all. But just everybody that's had an impact on my life and career, they know who they are, I hope, and know that it's so appreciated, and I wouldn't be here without them. And I get to do cool things like this, and this is not everybody's life, so I'm I try not to take it for granted, and I try to keep that at the forefront all the time. So it's a pretty cool life as a professional athlete we get to live, and it's really cool.
We made a note of this. It's in your bio, the BC Rep, the Pink Fund.
Oh, yes. So I was associated with, do you want me to touch on it?
Yeah, we want to just kind of know a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I was with Athletes Unlimited, and you can associate yourself with a nonprofit of your choice. And basically they take half of your bonus at the end of the year and they give to a nonprofit of your choice. And so I chose the Pink Fund, who helps. My mom was actually affected by breast cancer right out of college. And so it's really important for me. They help women who are going through treatment to kind of pay for funds that are kind of outside their control. So not the actual treatment themselves, but more of like rent, housing expenses, other things that they may not be able to keep up with because they're sick or can't work. So it's a really cool nonprofit that I've been a part of, and I just love what it stands for. So it's really
It's
cool.
a great mission.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then the last question is, how do you take a bet on yourself, or how have you taken a bet on yourself?
Oh gosh.
I feel like this is an easy one.
Is it?
It's like a softball.
Is it?
Yeah,
Home
100%.
run.
Oh,
Come on, knock it out.
So easy.
How
It's
am I supposed-
underhand softball.
Really? Now I'm gonna really fail. No. I just trying to believe in myself every day, even sometimes I don't. So just trusting in the process and trusting that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Probably your philosophy.
Yeah. Exactly.
There it is. See how natural that was?
That was okay. I
Softball.
was like, I'm probably gonna hit this
No
way out of the
way.
park. Yeah.
I mean, I was like way out there, left field, everything. It was awesome.
No, it was great.
We appreciate you. Thank you for
of
being
course.
on.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks.
To our
Good to see you
listeners,
guys.
Jordan came from practice.
Yes, sweaty, everything. I'm so sorry.
You look great.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that you came here was really
Yeah.
awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Of course.
We appreciate you, girl.
Yeah. And this is the Bet on Her podcast. What do you do?
And cut.
All right. Thank you,
Boom.
everybody. Good job.